Virginity. What is it? And what's the big deal about losing it? Let me cut to the chase. Virginity is a completely made-up concept. It's a term that was created simply to control and shame people, mainly women. A virgin is someone who's never had sex, but it's not as simple as it seems. For one thing, medically, virginity isn't a real thing. In some cultures, people place a lot of importance on the hymen, a thin, fleshy tissue located at the opening of your vagina, as a marker of virginity. But the status of your hymen doesn't actually mean anything. That's because having penis and vagina sex is not the only way a hymen can stretch open. It can happen by putting something in your vagina like a tampon or a finger, riding a bike, or doing sports. So you can't tell if someone's had sex by the way their hymen looks or feels. Another reason the idea of virginity is complete nonsense is that sex means different things to different people. Generally speaking, society tends to define sex in a very narrow way: penetration, penis into vagina. But where does that definition leave queer people? Or folks who can't or don't have penis and vagina sex and choose to have oral, anal, or another type of sex instead? And not everyone's first sexual experience is consensual, meaning that they were forced or pressured into having sex. There is also a double standard on who carries the burden of virginity. Society puts pressure on men for not having sex at the exact same time they shame women for having it. Make it make sense. Either way, shame has no place in someone's personal decisions about sex. It's time to throw away the notion of losing your virginity. What if instead of losing something, we reframe it as gaining? Because the truth is, when we make our own decision to become sexually active, we aren't setting ourselves up to lose anything at all. We hope we are gaining things like intimacy, self-insight, pleasure, and empowerment. All of these myths around sex and virginity can be so hurtful and overwhelming. But here's the one truth you should remember. Sex is defined by one thing and one thing only: you. Maybe that's being fingered for the first time. Maybe it's having anal sex. Maybe it's having your first orgasm. Maybe it's masturbating for the first time, or when you enthusiastically consent to sex. That's the beauty of your sexual journey. You're in charge, and you can figure it out on your own terms. Choosing to have sex, when, what kind, where, who with, is something that only you get to define.
These dumbass videos got to stop. Look,
Bruh.
Look. These dumbass videos got to stop. As somebody who's worked in safe sex and HIV prevention for 14, almost 15 years, I can tell you right now, do not listen to what she's saying and how she's saying that. We need context to stuff. And that's what we're going to do here today. We're going to add context to a lot of this stuff that she's saying. Shout out to Planned Parenthood for continuing to throw out bad messages and using Black people to do it. Shout out to Planned Parenthood. But welcome back to Breakdown Friday. I'm Joseph Ward, Professor Carlton Jones, Patrick Irvin. As you can see, we're here to talk about this video Planned Parenthood put out, talking about teaching people about virginity and how to lose your virginity. Basically, in a nutshell, it's giving a distorted message to a group of people who may not know anything about sex, about losing their virginity without real context to it. Because this video was real short. There's no real context to this. What are we actually really talking about? But guess what? We got time. We got time. So that's what we're getting into today. So I ain't even wasting no time. PC, man, I can see it bubbling. I can see your thought bubble. It done pop back. What are your thoughts on this video, my man?
Bruh, I thought your monologue, I thought that was the pregame show. I didn't even know we were jumping into this shit.
Bruh, nah, I was ready. I already knew what I was gonna say.
The wild thing is that I didn't even realize it until Patrick had mentioned it to me prior to that that was the Planned Parenthood video.
Yeah.
And to see that, like, this is the blatant recklessness that we're coming to. So for people to say that there's no agenda, right, to destroy our children, overly sexualize our children, you do a presentation like that in a mock classroom. Like, so let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was a high school classroom.
Still.
Right. You go to high school age 14, most children, age 14, 15. At these particular ages, you're not legally allowed to vote. You're not legally allowed to smoke. Not legally allowed to drink. You're not legally allowed to drive. But you want them to do something. You want them to focus on something that can alter the rest of their lives in terms of being reckless with how they approach sex. And you're sort of being an authoritative partner in this particular relationship with these children. And it just speaks to the reckless, irresponsible, and dare I say, this is malicious when you start to see these particular ads that are focused on children. We already have a situation where I believe this, like, it's just the numbers of STDs are like at an all-time high. And you're telling these children to be fluid with being fingered, having anal sex, which, by the way, anal sex is one of the quickest ways to transmit disease based on the types of blood vessels that are in the rectum. It's just this is just an attack on anybody's virtues and values, and not only just an attack on your virtues and values. This shit is sick. This is predatorial. When I see stuff like this, this is trying to what's it called when this is the corruption of minors. When I see this type of stuff happen, I don't see any sort of you want me to stop there?
No,
I just don't see the benefits other than, it's like, okay, let's go to the Bible and check out the playbook. Okay, Sodom and Gomorrah on 3, 1, 2, 3. And you get Sodom and Gomorrah in this particular instance. And then and as always, black women have got to start being smarter about when they're being scapegoated and doing this type of stuff. Because the image that we see, people aren't even going to focus on the fact that it's Planned Parenthood. They're going to focus on the fact that it's a black woman endorsing this crap. And how much care you have for black children is as a black woman, you're endorsing this type of behavior. Specifically speaking, you don't think white children are going to be following this. Planned Parenthood, was designed to curtail the birth rates in black communities. That's why the majority of Planned Parenthood was agencies were placed in black communities. Margaret Sanger, part of the original ABC League, the American the American Birth Control League, which preceded Planned Parenthood, was part of the Eugenics Society. In fact, I believe she was the president, and we know what they stood for. They stood for the euthanization of black children and black babies. And it's when you see, because you think about if we already lacking leadership and we lack in productive families, how many teenage pregnancies do you think is going to come from this type of push? And it's just out of control. This whole concept of sexual freedom and sexual freedom is liberation. This has got to stop. And I land my plane there.
So throw out some stats. Teen pregnancy rates have drastically dropped, especially since the 90s. A large part of that is due to birth control, that the use of birth control. But teen pregnancy rates have drastically dropped across the board in all races. Now, one thing that is dangerous about how this message is being presented and the recklessness of it, and remember, I've already done 2 safe sex presentations on college campuses already this week, and the way I presented my information was way more careful than that, and way more responsible than what we just saw. But 15 to 24, why is that age range important? According to the CDC and all the information you can find, ages 15 to 24 account for almost half of the 26 million new STD cases in the US. 15 to 24. Also, according to the statistics that I had being able to get my hands on doing my HIV/AIDS prevention, 15 to 24, HIV cases as well. So, you telling people to lose their virginity, but no context about it. That video wasn't long enough to be able to put out to be something educational or motivational. That's more like propaganda. That's what I'm saying. Pat, what you think about it, bro?
I mean, I think what you just said is what I was going to say in terms of it seems more like propaganda with what also in agreeing with what PC said. I mean, that's a dangerous video.
Yes.
Especially when put out there like that, the classroom setting, her hitting the board and then closing it, the colors popping around, the upbeat music.
It's for kids. It's for young.
That video wasn't made for adults. That video was made for teenagers. And so then without context, she goes in, virginity is a made-up concept.
What?
So is this more of this like race is a social construct that's not real? Okay. Now what? What happens now? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so now we're going to devalue purity. Right. And I get people that ain't pure get upset by that. I get it.
And man, ain't nobody make you do it.
Right. But that's where you get into like, you know what? I ain't never met PC, and I talk about this all the time. I ain't never met somebody that was over 6 feet mad at people that only want to deal with people over 6 feet. Mm-hmm. Virgins ain't never really complaining about somebody calling them pure. It's always the people that. So, anyways, that's a whole separate conversation. And y'all know what I mean when I say pure. And hell, I got 4 kids. I ain't pure either.
Virginity. It's just another word of virginity.
But then we get into made to oppress, and then she gonna slide in the mainly women with the black lady on the end. Right? Like, here's a shot for the ladies. These niggas ain't shit, basically. That's how I read it. And then even in that, going into the double standard, she talking about hymen. I ain't never met a dude in my community that based virginity on whether or not your hymen was still intact.
Oh, we're gonna get into that because she said some slick shit with that, but we're gonna get into that.
Like the whole hymen talk was real, and it's made to try to make it seem like scientific, like she really spit facts because she using these words. We see you. Like, we see you. Now, I ain't gonna get into the jokes, but just know we see you. Now, I guess I got into it a little bit. Anyways, but then the whole nonsense of virginity is nonsense because virginity means different things to different people, and different people have different kinds of sex. Lady, first off, you're late to the party. These teenagers already know that. That's why when they want to still be, when the girls want to still be a virgin for their man, they get their buttholes opened up.
But now, I remind them, just to put it out there, if you've had a penis, vagina, and or anus in your mouth, in your vagina, in your anus, or wherever, you are not a virgin. No, you're not. You're not a virgin. You have had sex. And the one thing I agree with her about is, different types of sex. But guess what? You're not a virgin. Somebody put a penis in your mouth, you're not a virgin. No, you're not.
And that's what I'm saying. You try to play these games. We know what being a virgin is.
Right.
Everybody knows what being a virgin is. No, this is a part of the game you playing because you're going after a group of people
Who don't know no better.
Who don't know because they ain't done nothing and ain't nobody else talking to them.
But
That's your target audience. So when they say your target audience is children, when you say shit like this, it confirms. Oh, because you can't be talking to nobody with sense that's got experience, because we see through all of it. Let's shame has no non-consent. First off, like that whole adding that in there was pure foolishness. I ain't never seen nobody vilify a woman for not having her virginity because she was
great.
I've never seen it. I'm not saying it don't happen. I'm saying in America, in this country, I've never seen that.
Great.
So where does that even come from, lady?
You forgot the G.
I'm sorry. That's another one of those. That's another one of those. You trying to throw another shot in there on the low. You trying to rip. You trying to liver shot me. Okay. Shame has no place in your personal decisions. Yes, it does.
It does.
Shame has a place everywhere.
It does.
That's one of the biggest things that makes this video dangerous, is that you're trying to remove shame from the equation. No, shame prevents people from putting themselves in really bad situations.
Right.
Shame is a part of the way a society governs itself. Shame is a mandatory part of cultural and community development in terms of keeping things moving in a proper place. You need shame. It's not supposed to feel good. I understand y'all don't want it to feel good because nobody want to experience things to feel bad. Here's a pro tip. Stop doing stuff that you're going to be ashamed of. You don't want to feel shame? Stop being shameful. And then, so we just go and then let's hear this same message. What about this same message? You're in charge. You can do what you want to do with who you want to do it, where you want to do it, when you want to do it. Okay.
That's dangerous.
No. Hold on. I believe in equality. Go tell the teenage boys that. Go tell them that. Go tell the teenage boys that they could do whatever they want to do with whoever they want to do, whenever they want to do, however they want to do it. See, let's see how well that works out for you and the cadre of young, impressionable women that you're speaking to, because you're not talking to boys with this. You're not talking to heterosexual boys with this message. This is a message for the LGBTQIA plus and women. So it's just sex is defined by you, partly. Yeah, like you just get into all of these things. Reframe virginity. How about people need to stop feeling like they're losing something and feel like they're gaining something.
Look, man. Look. I don't know about her, and all the smoke ain't for her, but half of it is because she was the face of it and she agreed to do it. But the the Planned Parenthood. But so I've worked with teens. I work with sexually active teens all the time. So what does she tell the 16-year-old girl that's having sex with the 24-year-old? What did she tell her? What did she tell the 16-year-old who loses her virginity to the 24-year-old? That's what I want to know. Because those are things that I witnessed in my time working with the teens in my city. What do you tell the middle schoolers who are getting a train ran on them on the school bus on the way to school? These are things that I've, heard. I didn't witness that, but I've heard about stories that I've heard of teens, middle schoolers that I was working with during my time. Now, what do you tell the young girl who gets pregnant at 11 and have twins at 12? What do you tell her about the virginity? What do you tell all the hypersexual teens who are riddled with STDs?
Well, that's what they gain, Joe. That's what she tells them.
Because it's very irresponsible. I remember a syphilis a syphilis outbreak that happened at one of the schools. Girls sharing lip gloss. I remember a young girl giving everybody in her home gonorrhea, and her mother got gonorrhea in the eye because they were sharing eyelashes, and you can use your imagination to how the gonorrhea got on the eyelash that the young girl was wearing. And when the mother put the eyelash on, she got gonorrhea and gave the whole house gonorrhea. I could be here all day. Look, we've told two 17-year-olds and an 18-year-old within the last 6 months that they were HIV positive. So what do you say to that?
You say that's what they gained. They gained HIV, they gained kids, they gained gonorrhea in the eye, they gained syphilis. That's what they gained.
Because that's what makes this message so irresponsible. Is you just put it out.
I don't know if it's irresponsible. I think it's purposeful. I think you think about
use all them words.
Like you think about all the ways we got here. This has been a message that's been perpetuated through, especially to young people, and I'm talking about teens and preteens. You can look at snippets of messages like this from watching the Nickelodeon network, the Disney Channel, all the channels that were dedicated to children. The Cartoon Channel turned into, Cartoon After Dark or whatever. It's like the children are always going to be targeted by nefarious propaganda or cabal of people who are looking to damage the potential competition for the future. And we might look at it from that perspective. They might be looking to sabotage it, or we just might be dealing with some really heinous and sick individuals in some really high places that are looking to tamper with the with the rooting of these young people, because look at this message was geared to children. This looked like a Saturday morning cartoon program.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got a question for her though. Which specific cultures were you talking about that focuses on the hymen, as far as saying that when this is broken, that the person is no longer a virgin? Which specific culture? Because you slip that in there. Some cultures, no. Which specific cultures are you talking about that focus on the hymen being whether or not a person is a virgin? Because that's how the message was put out, that some specific cultures. Some cultures don't tell us that. Tell us the cultures. Tell us the exact cultures that you're talking about. Because there are millions and millions of cultures around the world. So which ones you talking about? That's what I want to know. And see, we ask them questions. We have to ask questions. We have to have pushback. We have to be devil advocates and all these things. She's talking about virginity she basically framed virginity as something that was given to us by the patriarchal structure. So people continue to look at the world through a biblical timeline, not understanding that the world is older than what the Bible says. So when we're talking about the concept, because take away the word virginity, just use the word purity. We talk about the concept of purity. Cultures around the world throughout time have always valued purity, especially in women. But purity, period. It wasn't like this. The West, the hedonistic cultures are the ones who push the people to have sex, even pushing the men to go out and have a whole bunch of sex. All cultures aren't created the same, so you can't just mash stuff up and deliver the information like, hey, the whole world thinks through a patriarchal Western lens. No, they don't. All of time thought through a patriarchal Western lens. No, it didn't. And this video wasn't long enough for you to teach anybody anything. All it was a little drop in the bucket to pique somebody's interest to maybe go get fingered, because you talking about getting fingered and all that stuff. There ain't no context to it. You're talking about, you can't just throw out anal sex like that and tell people and talk about having anal sex without putting context and putting the safety measures around sex, period, but specifically anal sex, because the anus was not made to be penetrated.
Well, no, Joe, you're wrong. If you choose to have your anus penetrated, then that is exactly what it was put on you to do.
All right, whatever. Yeah, and if you choose to walk out in front of the street, in front of cars while they're moving, hey, they're not gonna hit you because that's what you want. They're not gonna hit you. So since you don't want them to hit you, they're not gonna hit you.
Well, I think that goes into a little bit of what PC was saying about the goal, right? Like, because you think about it, right? Like, I do think I was slow to get on board this boat. I will openly admit that I was real slow to get on board. The Planned Parenthood is out to get us trained. I didn't disagree with it. I didn't have enough information. I didn't know enough. So I was just like, well, shit, let me just check. And so I'm saying this, speaking to everybody else that is like me, that's slow to get on board certain trains. How else do you categorize an organization that's willing to put out a video like this? like, you know, like, just even if you know nothing else about the organization, watching this video and thinking about it, like, and that's critical. And I'm assuming since you're slow to get on board, you're somebody that likes to think about things, right? How do you put this video into any sort of non-malicious frame? Like, I'm struggling. Even now, I'm trying to do it. I've been trying to do it since Joe shared it. Because when you shared it, I thought it was just on some BS. Like, hey, man, look at this. So I watched it because, you know, I like to watch the videos cold when we do the reactions. And I watched it and I was like, wait a minute. I done spent the rest of my time since watching it trying to figure out how you can frame this in a non-malicious way. I have yet to come up with any reasonable, rational way to make this not be an extremely dangerous video with clear intentions on fucking up a group of people.
But it's like giving a presentation the other night, right? And same old argument from some young women. Well, why can't we go out and just have a whole bunch of sex like men and not be shamed for it? Because we just want to go out and just have a whole bunch of sex. You know, I want people to understand this clear right here. Nobody's telling you, well, we not, I don't know about other folks. We not telling you that you can and can't have sex. If you want to go have sex with 5 people today, that's your business. If you want to have sex with 20 different people a week, male or female, whoever you are, that's your business. But don't be mad at the consequences that you get for that. Consequences that are going to come from that are going to be good and bad, because the good consequences that are going to come from it, you're going to ignore. You're going to accept. You're not even going to consider them consequences. You're going to consider them rewards. But guess what? Any negative, anything that makes you feel uncomfortable or doesn't make you feel good, because, okay, you're the person, male or female, who goes out and you have a whole bunch of sex and you meet somebody and they actually have some standards about themselves. And you say, well, I done had sex with all these people, and they looking at you like, well, nah, you ain't my type. You can't get mad. You can't get mad. You can choose to get mad, but you're dumb for getting mad, because guess what? Nobody's stopping you from doing what you want to do. Just like nobody gonna stop me from making the decision that I want to make that's best for me. That's what shame comes in. Shame keeps us from making decisions that will probably affect us long term down the road. Like, you can't just instruct a group of young people to go out and just have sex and just say, well, it's no big deal in losing your virginity. Yes, it is. Like the same thing from the other night. Like, well, we'll talk about pair bonding. Pat, go ahead and get into pair bonding, man. That's your thing.
I'm stuck still on how you gonna shame me for not liking the decision you made.
I
But
don't.
okay.
I'm not arguing with nobody about
No,
that. See,
no,
that's
no,
what
no.
I'm not saying you are, but I'm
Yeah,
just
I'm
saying
talking
that,
about the video. Like,
right. Look,
PC, you trying to jump in? I know, Joe, you said Parabon. The PC, you trying to jump? Oh, PC's muted.
yeah.
No, yeah. It leads to serial monogamy, and that's why because once
And you talking about pair bonding, correct?
right, like, and this works more so for women than men. I know women don't like this because of this whole concept around equality and so forth, but
It's biological.
biologically speaking, those chemicals kick in, and those chemicals kick in, typically speaking, based in either when you're having children or you're having a really strong orgasm, which sort of draws you closer to the person that helped you experience that orgasm. But if you're getting bombed out every other weekend, and you're experiencing, it's like a nuclear explosion. You watch that and you say, "Wow, I'm all inspired." But if you see one of them shits every 2 weeks, after a while, it loses its pizzazz. And that's the same thing that happens when you get into those situations. And women typically say they leave situations because they get bored with the men. And so you get bored with the men because that man has to, do something extraordinary every week to keep you. And so that's why, a promiscuous woman will find it harder to settle down. And she'll often get bored. She'll often step out in the relationship and so forth. And I'm not saying men don't do it, but it's proven that men, emotionally speaking, we don't emote the same as women.
Right.
So a man, in many cases, will be very comfortable with the same woman that's bored as shit with him because she's used to so many other men and she's consistently comparing them to those other men, often to the point where they say over 70% of women already know who they're going to replace you with when they're dating you. And that's why the monkey branch has been so effective in those serial monogamous relationships. Typically speaking, when a woman decides that she wants to break up with a man, within 2 weeks, she's already in the arms of another man. So, and so when we start, if we want to go down that path, now let's get back to the video though, because if we have this concept in our community about grooming. If a grown man is dating a grown woman, and there's at least a 10-year gap in their age range, well, what does it say when a multi-billion-dollar organization is sending a message to teenagers? Is that not grooming? I don't know if we can draw the parallels here, but when you start talking about this, and specifically, like Patrick said, this message was for everybody but heterosexual males. And you talk about a propaganda campaign. Well, then you had LGBTQ marches recently within the last year talking about we're coming for your children. You know what I'm saying? After a while, these dots start connecting. You know what I mean? In regards to this type of agenda towards the children. And all these different things, you have all these different groups now trying to find ways into the kindergarten classrooms to have these conversations with children. Why is it so important to put a sexual agenda in front of children? And I'm not even specifying what type of sexual agenda, but
Just
any sexual
overall, like
agenda.
Yeah.
Right. Why are there groups trying their damnedest to be influential in regard to a 5-year-old sex life?
Look, when I go into any setting that I go to, first thing I start off with is, if you not thinking about sex and you don't want to have sex, you don't have no desires of having sex, don't have sex. You don't have to have sex because everybody else is having sex. But then if we're going to teach them about sex, we got to do it right. And we have to make sure we spend time on these topics and making sure that people understand the context and understand the information. Like I said, you can't just throw out losing your virginity or having anal sex or something like that. Especially that, you can't just throw it out there like that. But also, one thing that I don't like about the way the video was set up, but it's also based off how society is the reason why she wasn't talking to heterosexual men, because it's already the idea, it's already the perception, or it's already in place culturally that we're just supposed to go out and conquer the world with our penis. And I spend a lot of time, especially talking to young black men, about slowing down and not sticking your meat in any and everything. Just because you're a man doesn't mean you are obligated to knock down every girl you see. You have to have dick discipline. You know how many men have ruined themselves and are still ruining themselves because of a lack of dick discipline?
Well, I think one of the things, and it's twofold. One, this whole narrative of a double standard that she did bring up, that you were hinting at just now, like that has to be addressed.
Yeah.
Women like men that have sex. That's been confirmed repeatedly over and over and over again. Matter of fact, women are all over their favorite digital therapy site, TikTok, talking about how if a man ain't got no hoes, they ask what's wrong with him.
Right.
If don't nobody want to have sex with you, men know this. If nobody wants to fuck you, then nobody wants to fuck you.
Right.
So that's what, and men are not the same. Go figure. Men and women are different. Who knew? It's almost like God knew what he was doing. Anyways, I'm sorry. God knew what they were doing. Anyways, so but men don't like women that have a lot of sex. Ergo, and therefore, men get pressured to have sex and women get pressured not to. That is important for a variety of reasons. But we can get into that. But then we go back to this pair bonding piece that PC was hitting on and that Joe mentioned on. And I'm going to talk about this briefly because I know we want to go, because there's a lot of shit in this video. It's a lot of shit. And all of it feels like unzipping a colostomy bag. It's funny. We was just talking about that. Anyways, so first off, this notion of casual sex that she's getting at, it's a social construct. It's not. It's totally made up. Biologically, your brain does not differentiate casual sex from intimate partner sex until you've had so much casual sex that intimate partner sex is basically not going to do what it needs to do.
Right.
And so we need to understand, like, there are three hormones. There are multiple hormones at play, but the three major ones: oxytocin, the love hormone, the bonding hormone, vasopressin, and dopamine. When you have sex, you get a surge of a chemical cocktail flooding through your body. For men, it makes you look at this woman, love this woman, and really only have eyes for this woman. That's why when you've been with a chick for a while and you've been piping her down, only her for a while, you stop noticing other women. Other women aren't as attractive anymore. That's so that you can be with this woman to raise a child, pair bonding. So neural pathways are getting wired. What happens when you start having sex over and over and over with a new person and a new person and a new person and a new person? That chemical cocktail, the receptors for it that make it do what it do, they start to fall away. Your body adapts to this spike in activity and it becomes less responsive. So now, not only is your body responding less to the cocktail, but you're also producing less of the cocktail and your brain is being rewired in a new way. So now the way that would happen where you would have sex with somebody, experience this surge in activity and feel bonded and connected to them, i.e. love, now Your brain is like, oh love, haha, we don't do that. No. It's gonna be a new one next week. And then next week coming, it's the same one. Wait, I know you. Well, where's the new one? The next week come. Well, when are we gonna get a new one? The next week come. Now the dude, usually the dude, because women receive 2 to 3 times, I think it's 3 to 6 times the amount of chemical surge that men receive. But usually it's the woman. She begins looking at the dude. If she's not a rule one, these same old regular crackers. They not Ritz or nothing, just regular ass crackers, regular saltines, and the salt falling off. Now you got a problem on your hands. That's what we talking about when we talk about pair bonding. Pair bonding is needed because single parent households being successful is also a made up concept. It's a social construct. Humans are most successful raising children when there are 2 partners, a man and a woman. Primary. Now, that doesn't mean there can't be extended communities. There should be extended communities. But by and large, the world, the brain, the human is working with this concept that we need a man and a woman to make a baby and to raise one. When you start fucking around with that, you start getting all kinds of adverse outcomes. This video is basically encouraging fucking around with the system because you don't want to feel shame.
Man, these girls, and I'm saying this because this is my experience, 14 years experience doing safe sex education. And it happened twice this week. These girls don't know how to put condoms on. Condoms are going inside of them and they don't know how to put condoms on. Twice this week, we've done condom demonstrations, and that's why I do them the way I do them, doing condom demonstrations. And the girls trying to roll the condom down on a dude the wrong way. I developed a little technique to show them how to make sure you're rolling your condom. Well, I didn't develop that. I helped improve on the technique that was developed by somebody else. And teaching them how to roll condoms down the proper way so you won't roll it down the wrong way and then flip it. Because what if the person got an STD and you put it on the wrong way, then you flip it, and now you're going to get the STD as well, right? But you got especially teen girls, college age girls don't know how to put condoms on. And this short video is telling them to go get fingered and have sex and put stuff in your butt, your mouth, and your vagina. And they don't even know how to put condoms on correctly. And you didn't even spend time in this video teaching them how to put condoms on correctly, because all you're telling them is, hey, lose your virginity, because there's no shame in having sex. There's shame in it because shame will keep you from doing crazy stuff. Shame will keep your name clean. Shame will keep your conscience clean. Shame will keep your decision making better.
Bruh. You do realize that by the time these young ladies are getting to college, many of them have at least 15 to 20 bodies.
Bruh, I know. You trust me. If anybody know, I know.
And I mean, I walked in on a session where these young girls in college was talking about, and I happened to walk in on it, where it's nothing for them to try to get 10 bodies in the summer. So if you're talking about getting 10 bodies in the summer, I'm talking about in some of the lewdest ways. Well, there's a staircase right there. There's a bush over there. These are girls talking. And these boys, you know damn well, these young boys, they're at a place right now where their testosterone is spiking at such a high rate, they don't care where they get it at. And as a teenager, and we know that not all of them are getting it, but and I say that because when you have a video like this that's promoting this shit, and you know that there are others just like it. I mean, we just talked about TikTok. TikTok is like a hodgepodge where you can find these videos promoting this type of promiscuous activity for young teenagers and just young period. You listen to their music, you know what I'm saying? And I don't care what people say, music is influential. So when you have the banner, what was it, the banner song of the decade was WAP or WAP or whatever the hell. You know what I'm saying?
That was before Suki Hana and Sexy Red, though.
Right. That was the precursor to it. And now, you know, you just have all this stuff that and it's been funneled down their throat. This is the driving forces of what now has become their subculture. You know what I'm saying? And in fact, that we don't have a strong enough culture to counter it. Everything that comes in, it's like our immune system is so weak, we get infected by everything. And the children, they're going to get blamed for this.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that's going to take the brunt of the blame. Teenage pregnancy is up. Teenage STDs are up. All these different things are going to happen. Teenagers are out here, you know, getting raped at high rates and numbers. You know, all these injuries are going to take place. Oh, teenagers sexually traumatized. All these different things. The teenagers are going to be the ones, because people are going to forget about that ad. People are going to forget about all the influences that led to them making these decisions. All the gateways where it should have been a gatekeeper. These are gateways opening up to all these different places. People are going to forget about all that. And the children are going to be the one to bear the brunt. And then we're going to talk about how this generation failed society because it chose to do this way. Just like we talk about when my generation came up, when I was 10, 11 years old, there were guys driving around with caskets on their cars with bullhorns, megaphones, and they were preaching against street violence, right? When I was growing up. There were also men who were driving around with vans, and they would pull up on a corner in your neighborhood, and they would do a slideshow. And they would do a slideshow about STDs. This is what happens when you catch chlamydia. This is what your penis looks like when you catch gonorrhea, when you catch syphilis, when you catch herpes, when you catch genital warts. This is what it looks like. And they would show those graphic pictures to us on the corner. Our parents would be out there. The whole neighborhood would be out there. That was the community actually taking charge and doing those things. We don't even have do you see the videos now where people are teaching their children to twerk, teaching their little boys to smack the butts of their big sisters while they're twerking, and the parents are the ones doing the recording?
Hey, man, look, in my city, one of the schools, the rumor, but it's been confirmed. Well, I'm gonna just say the rumor. One of the allegedly one of the schools have their own strand of STDs in my city, right? One of the major colleges allegedly have their own strand of STDs, right? Age range 13 to 24. Tallahassee has the highest STD rates in the state of Florida. Our STD rates are higher than Miami, Jacksonville, Broward County, Tampa, Orlando. Higher than that. Number one in chlamydia, got number one in gonorrhea, top 10 in syphilis, top maybe 15 in the state in HIV. Like, it's called Tallahassee. They call the city is nicknamed Tallahassee. Half of it is between 13. Well, it's college age. So college age people are the bulk of the people that are in this city. So they're coming to college not prepared for a college life, and definitely not prepared to keep themselves safe having sex. Why do I know this? Because I test them. I have conversations with them. Less than 1% of the college students that we test have never had unprotected sex. So 99.9% of them have had unprotected sex.
And look, we got to be honest about that too. Like, that's when you get a bunch of young people together, a bunch of dumb stuff is going to happen. And one of the big dumb things that's going to happen is unprotected sex.
Yeah.
Because when I was in the military, the The base experience when I was at basic training, not basic training, when I was in tech school, learning my job, what I had joined the military to be, the base experienced such a rapid expansion of people with STDs that we started having base-wide STD meetings. Think about this, huh? They started having conversations with us, begging us to stop having sex because the STD rates were getting that out of hand. Nobody talked to anybody. Nobody saw any of the pictures or any of the graphics about what it looked like to have an out of control STD or STI infection. They were just talking to us. And of course, like I didn't have, I didn't do nothing unprotected. I didn't do nothing at all. But everybody I knew I done told y'all stories. There was girls climbing into my dorm window to get at my roommate. We was on the second story. So this is girls climbing up the side of a building to get into a dorm room to have sex and then shimmy back outside of the window. My roommate was from Philly, so maybe that's that Philly swag. But
I can relate to that story.
So, but it's like, this message ain't the message that needs to be out. This look. First off, and that's another way how I know she's not talking to anybody. That this message is geared towards younger teenagers, if not younger people, period. Because the people that the 16, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, they already climbing through windows. They already doing it. She ain't talking to them. She talking to 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds. Look at the color scheme, the music, the bounciness of it. Look at the outfit she wearing, the cadence of her voice.
Right.
She's talking to young children, trying to give them the same message that's got their older siblings fucked up. This is to me, and this is where I'd be like, you know what? In Patrick world, you would have to go to court and defend that against somebody who is knowledgeable, well-informed, and is going to take you to task. And if you lose that battle, you lose your freedom because you're dangerous. We can't have you out here doing this type of stuff. Like, this is where I am at with it, because a message like this going viral could cause thousands of people to lose their lives and millions of people to be negatively impacted, and entire countries to potentially be destabilized. Like, that's how dangerous this message is.
Right. Look, I'm anybody that tell you that have heard me talk in any capacity at any point in my life, and even in my classes, I'm not against people having sex. We're not against people having sex. But we are against irresponsible sexual activity. We are against irresponsible people having sex. We are against irresponsible and dangerous messaging that comes with sex. I get angry when somebody comes in my city and half-ass on their prevention messages and how they get their messages. Like, when I see somebody giving a presentation and they don't know their information, oh man, it takes everything in me not to wreck their shit and just be rude and tell them sit down because you don't know what you're talking about, because it's dangerous to just be saying stuff, especially to a group of impressionable people.
Yeah.
Sex. Go ahead. We're supposed to have sex though, but you got to be responsible, and the messaging around it has to be responsible.
The dangerous part is this conversation was about children who had not had sex yet. So you're encouraging them to experiment with all these different things.
Thank you for that, PC. Thank you for that.
No problem. I was just following up on what you were saying. You know, you're encouraging this. So, and we know like the numbers sex wise, there's a lot of like older guys, men in particular, who have chosen not to have sex. They don't even date no more. Like 30% of men under 30 have gone a calendar year without having sex. Um, and many more are not are like sex is few opportunities and far in between. So when you start talking about fingering, you ain't talking about no guys fingering each other, no heterosexual boys fingering each other. You know what I'm saying? Um, so you're really it's really a perverted message if we want to be if we're going to be honest about it. And you know, you create. Do people realize that you open the door to a lot of different things when you start having this conversation? You know, the suggestive conversation. You open, especially with impressionable and curious minds of children, and you put them in situations where the harm it can be irreparable. You have a lot of people who grow up to be predators, and they can all reach back to some time in their childhood when they were the victim of a predator. And when you start pushing this message, you open these children up to be potential victims of predator behavior, because you know predators identify curious children. And you know, and you put this message out there, you put these children in harm's way. And like we said before, and I agree with you, Pat, I think they should be thrown under the jail if it's not proven that they're not targeting these children.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it should just be the people that put the commercial together. The whole organization of Planned Parenthood needs to face the steep consequences. And I ain't just talking about those slap on the wrist fines.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about something that will cripple that agency.
And they should be drop kicked for a half-ass message as well.
They should be defunded. Forget for defunding the police. They should be defunded.
For
you
that.
know, if this is what they use, if this is what they're using their government grant money for,
recklessness. That's what it is. So you know, that's just how we feel about it. You know, we're not telling people. I never tell people to have sex. I never tell people to not have sex. My job is
babies not to have sex.
My job is to give you information, and I'm gonna give you the proper information, and I'm gonna give you the resources that are connected to the information, and I'm gonna encourage you to make the right decisions, to make the best decisions, long-term decisions for yourself. And if you from there, you do what you want to do with it. Now, when we're talking about younger people, I mean, I am definitely steering younger people away from sex. Definitely steering young people away from sex. I'm encouraging them to wait. Encourage them to wait. For those who are already having sex, look, I'm gonna give you all the tools, and educators are supposed to be giving you all the tools you need to protect yourself and resources that are attached to the information to further protect yourself. Because that's a part of it too. So that video went long enough to do all that.
But see, Joe, I think, and this is one of the things where, and I know you're trying to wrap up.
You got to wrap it up.
Right. Like, no, because I'm agreeing. Right. Because I'm like, all right, sex is cool. Right. And if you having sex, cool. But as a society, we need to be honest. Sex is not a right. You don't deserve sex just because you want it.
Right.
You don't deserve sex just because you're alive, and you're not entitled to sex. Sex is a privilege in a lot of ways for men and women. All right. We got to put that. Yes, women. Yes, you too.
Mm-hmm.
It's a privilege to have somebody want to share themselves with you on that level. Yes, women, men are sharing themselves with you too. It's a privilege. And I think we need to understand that, like with most privileges, there are responsibilities. If you can't adequately handle the responsibilities and the consequences that come with sex. I don't care how old you are. You shouldn't be having sex. And as a society, this is where shame comes in. Because we shouldn't have people running around saying, well, I'm 28 years old. If I want to have sex, I'm going to have sex. No, fuck what you want. You also want to be a millionaire. That ain't happened yet either. No. If you're 28 years old and don't know how to responsibly have sex, not in a position to take care of children that might come from sex, can't handle the potential STIs that might come from having sex and all of these stigmas and social situations that might come from having sex, we as a society need to tell that person, no, you can't have sex because you can't handle the sex.
Sex is an adult act for adults. And just because you are old don't mean you're an adult, because like he said, it comes with adult consequences. Like I was testing somebody the other day, and I was asking them were they having unprotected sex, and they said, yeah. Like, who you having unprotected sex with? My girlfriend. I like, you make at least $50,000? No, you need to put condoms on. Because can you pay for children right now? That's straight. Can you, if you got your girl pregnant right now, can you pay for the children? No. If anything medically happened or you get an STD, or anything big happened to you, can you pay for it? No. So why are you taking the condom off? Right. So that's what you're supposed to do as a responsible person delivering messages, right? So hey,
right.
If the message not going to be responsible, we got to who I don't care if it's the CDC or that lady. We got to call them out. We got to get them out of our community because they're not helping. They're making the problem worse. Remember, 13 to 24 have the highest STD rates in the country. 13 to 24. So half-ass messages got to go. Planned Parenthood, we see your ass. We see your ass. Hey man, remember fatlifestation.com. Fatlifestation.com. Link is in the description. Make sure you check out the P's and the C's as he's dropping his information on you every Friday on fatlifestation.com in the office hours. Check out Patrick on onlyfans.com/headphones in the beanie. So make sure you check them out.
I just got the page back up. New content coming soon. It's going on sale. $19.95 per day. It was down from it was $9.99 a day, but I decided to cut him a break. That's only for the month of February for Black History Month.
And he using condoms in his video, so just to let you know. All right, so peace out.